It does not seem like a Friday, Vic.
What day does it seem like?
I don't know.
A Saturday? A Sunday?
No. It's like
Thursday?
I don't know. It's
Wednesday?
Seems like all the same day.
Monday?
Just whatever day.
One long day?
Yeah, just one
wow.
long day.
Wow. One long day?
It all seems like the same day.
The same day?
Yes.
That doesn't sound good.
It depends. It could have been a good day.
It could have been a good day. How so?
Could have been a good... I don't know. The world could have been normal.
Oh, man. I think there's some credence to your statement that you say that we are a bad biosphere project.
I tell you, and every time I said it to you, you'd laugh. But I think that if you look, nature has come back out since people have gone in. I don't know, a lot of the countries overseas are on heavy quarantine, heavy lockdown.
Absolutely.
And they're seeing a lot of their wildlife and stuff come back out. They've got geese and rivers. Rivers are clearing up. I kid you not.
Wait a minute.
Rivers are clearing
That
up.
reminds me of something I've heard. You probably heard this lately too, though. I've heard people say, right, that maybe, Candice, we are the coronavirus. The coronavirus.
I've been saying
maybe human beings are the virus.
But I've been saying
out in the streets, birds are chirping.
But I've been
flowers
saying
are blooming
that,
because the people, the virus, have left the scene.
But have I not been saying that we are the invasive species? I've been saying it. We keep talking about invasive species, and it feels a little like it's us.
No doubt. There's a ray of truth to
But
that.
maybe we're the problem.
Wow.
But a lot has changed.
Yeah.
It just even within the last week of us doing this show.
Yeah.
So much has changed, and it's changed quite rapidly. Like you said, we have the coronavirus crisis happening right now, and it's not just here; it's all over the earth, all over the globe.
Yeah.
You've had thousands of people that have died in certain areas.
Yeah, true.
Here in Michigan, we've only had 3 reported deaths as of right now because of the virus.
Okay.
And the number of people that are known to have had the virus. We're at 500 and
Almost 500 now. Wow.
Yeah. Let me get that accurate number.
Yeah. That's interesting, though, right? That you're saying that there's been reports around the world that since the people have gone inside, nature is starting to bloom.
Yes. Vic thinks this is hilarious.
I mean, I can see it in my mind's eye. I can see that unfolding, right? I can see it. Because think about it. When you think about pollution,
right?
Look, we're supposed to be righteous stewards of the planet. We're supposed to be. Now, what grade would you assign to human beings with regard to that? This idea of stewardship.
I'm not the best person to ask because I lived through a water crisis.
Hello, there you go.
I'm living through a water crisis,
right?
Which
is man-made.
We've man-made, Paul, your camera, and we've man-made and manufactured quite a few lovely environmental issues.
Hello.
And so,
can we name some of the man-made catastrophes?
All of them. It's all us. It's all us.
The rivers are polluted.
We are the problem.
The lakes are polluted.
We are the problem.
There's a floating barge of garbage somewhere in the deep Pacific Ocean, right?
Right.
That's miles and miles long and wide and so forth.
Yes.
Right? There's soot in the air in different cities in India and China.
Right.
I mean, you have the water crisis here in Flint, Michigan, and so forth. Right. We have the largest reservoir or body of fresh, natural water on the planet, and people are paying the highest water rates in the country. Wait a minute. There's something wrong with that picture. You know what? I agree with you. We are a bad biosphere project.
Well, I've been saying from the beginning that
This is amazing. This is amazing, man. And even what we've done to the livestock, right? Which is a part of our food supply.
Right.
How we have injected the food supply with steroids and chemicals and whatnot. Right. Which comes back to us. It affects us because of what? Greed. Corporate greed. Think about that, Candice. You look depressed. You got racism, sexism, ageism, any kind of ism that exists, right? It reminds me of a song that was made by the Temptations way before you were born. Which is apropos today. It's a ball of confusion. People moving out, people moving in. Why? All because of the color of the skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. It's a ball of confusion.
I don't know what anybody else has in their water, but I know Vic, whatever you're drinking over there is
I told you before.
Interesting.
It's bottled, good old-fashioned bottled water.
No. But I will say this, though. I think that, again, with what we were just talking about and how we were saying that you have the wildlife and everything coming back out in other countries now that the people have been in quarantine, all this different stuff that's going on. It's almost like nature is healing itself because it's had a chance to have a break from humans.
There you go. Yes.
I mean, but this kind of gives, it makes the argument even stronger of the fact that we need to be more environmentally conscious.
We do.
That we have to take, we have to do a better job of taking care of our country.
Absolutely. And this entire planet, no doubt about that. But greed, my friend, greed. My socialist friend. Think about that, though.
I've already told you. We're from different generations. So that word that they use to scare you out of wanting the common good for everyone, that doesn't work on me. It just doesn't. And then while you're calling me a socialist, it seems that because of this coronavirus that America has become a socialist country.
Real talk.
While you're playing, we got a lot of stuff introduced.
Real talk.
Even the governor of Michigan announced today in one of her latest executive orders that evictions right now, that people cannot be evicted.
Well,
so I'm just saying, it's amazing that we have all of these things that are happening that we were told could not happen before this virus, but now they're happening as a result of this virus. It just seems like this virus has forced not only nature to hit a hard reset on us, but also for us to hit a hard reset on our systems.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
No doubt about that. Even the true capitalists, right? They're practicing socialism now, right? They're trying to bail out companies and whatnot. Well, what happened to the conservative theory which maintains that we should let the market correct itself?
That conservative theory got hit by Corona. That's what happened.
True.
Because now you see that they're talking about doing stimulus checks based on your 2018 tax returns, saying to stimulate the economy.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, that feels a little bit like the giving that they say they don't want to do, right? Like I said, a lot of this stuff it's things Vic, you're coughing. A lot of we're already supposed to be 6 feet apart.
I have a minor hack.
Watch it.
You coughed before the show started,
and it seems like I did not.
Yes,
cough.
you did.
I did not cough.
Yes, you did.
But it seems like Paul, don't encourage him. It seems like all of these things that we were once told that were bad or not possible, it seems like they're now all happening. They're now all possible.
True.
All of these people that are able to work from home. Remember before it wasn't possible for you to work from home.
Absolutely.
Different child care provisions for healthcare workers.
Absolutely.
They're making provisions for healthcare workers' children now.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think another thing though that has happened that makes this really important is the fact that it shows how important that now in the tough times when a real crisis happens, how important our healthcare providers are, our doctors, our nurses. How essential our teachers actually are.
No doubt. I can tell you that. I could have told you that.
But you got a lot of parents who are learning the hard way that Miss Smith was not lying on your baby.
Some baby kids, huh? Some of the baby kids.
You need to tell your child to sit down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're seeing that now.
True.
So I think that hopefully this is one of those things that help us revisit the fact that maybe we look at how we pay teachers, how we care about nurses and doctors and their well-being.
Yes.
How we look at all of these different things. It's amazing how now you have all of these companies willing to step up and manufacture things for the good.
Yeah.
Companies willing to do 10,000 gallons of hand sanitizer. Companies willing to donate masks and all of these other things. I think that this virus, as awful as it is, and it's horrible because people are literally losing their lives. I think it has forced us to deal with how inhumane we've been toward one another.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah. So I think that is one of the things that we should definitely...
Yeah, it's cause for a pause.
Yes.
No question about that, right? But how long would that last, you think? Given human nature. You know what I mean? I hate to be a downer, right? I don't want to be a downer. But think about that, though. Why is that, though, Candice?
I promise you it's more than just water in that cup. Go ahead.
No, really. Why is it that as human beings, we tend to not show our best selves unless an emergency situation arises? Why is that the case? Think about that. Why does it take that? Why does it take that to be a thoughtful neighbor, right? To be a conscientious person and so forth, right? To be a community-minded person. Why does it take catastrophe to bring the best out in people sometimes?
So I think what happens is, and I don't care what you're about to say, I think capitalism plays a huge part in that for Americans. And the fact that you're taught to do this self thing. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps, go for yourself, get money for you, your people. And I think that once you have a crisis that happens, it forces you to step outside of yourself and look at the needs of the greater public, look at the needs of the masses.
The greater good.
And hello everybody that's joined us on Facebook.
Hello.
We encourage you all. Please feel free to comment, talk, whatever. We are an interactive show, so we would love to hear your opinions. The name of the show is called Whose Opinion Is It Anyway? We're just kind of covering a little bit of the coronavirus and the effects that it has had on humanity. One of the things that I say all the time is that we are bad biosphere projects.
No doubt.
That we often do out for each other as we should. We do not look out and care for the planet as we should. And so today we're just kind of
really what we're saying now, we're talking about the importance of community. How significant, how crucial even community is to human life. Think about that. We live in an integrated and interactive world. Not only our neighborhood, our street, our society, our city, our county, our state, but the entire planet is interwoven one with another, right? Why don't we get that sometimes, it appears, right? Why don't we get that sometimes? The importance of community, that is.
I think what happens is sometimes you have those exceptions, and a lot of times we end up trying to make the exceptions the rule. And so that happens. And again, for whatever the reason, we tend to have this embedded elitism in it. And so it kind of turns into me, self. How much can I get? How can I be the king? How can I be the queen? As opposed to how do we...
the rugged individualism.
As opposed to how do we do this together? And again, I think as you take a look at, again, if you just go back to even a couple of weeks ago, some of the things that, because we are, and we can't forget, in America, we're still in the middle of an election cycle. It's still that time for us.
No doubt.
We still have primaries and everything happening.
Absolutely.
And so up until even a few weeks ago, you had people screaming, hollering, and saying, your people, Vic.
My people.
Republicans, you MAGA people.
I'm not a Republican.
Okay, MAGA.
I'm not a Republican.
You took your hat off when you walked in the door. I saw the MAGA hat.
Okay.
I saw it.
Peace the People's Party.
But what I'm saying is,
though, right?
and what I'm saying is, even up until a few weeks ago, you had people saying certain things were impossible. It couldn't happen. We can't do it. And now here you are, in the face of this virus, in the face of people not being able to work, or in the face of people being shut down. Now all of a sudden you have these big corporations that are known to have monopolized communities and be the only one, and so they set their pricing at whatever. Now you have these big corporations saying, "Oh, we're not going to turn your power off. We're not going to turn your cable off. Oh, here is free internet for low-income people. Here is, all of these different services. Where was this free internet for low-income people before? You know what I'm saying? Where were all of these opportunities before?
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. You're right. Touche, my friend. Touche. No doubt about that. I can't add anything to that, right? I see your point. Okay, would you say, let's get something out here. Are they being responsible corporate citizens, you think? These corporate entities and whatnot? Are they doing it based upon altruism? Are they being altruistic towards the public?
So,
think about this.
I'm trying to figure out how to answer this the best way. Now, context is
important, though, right? Because contextually, we live really, truly in a mixed market. It's a mixture of socialism, certain aspects of socialism and capitalism and so forth. But the overriding philosophy, right, is capitalism, right? Theoretically and practically, in practice, right? So what's motivating? What's motivating these corporations to do what they're doing now, right? In terms of being more consumer friendly?
So the optimist in me. Okay. The optimist in me is saying that they are doing it. Listen, the optimist in me is saying that they are doing it because they see that humanity is in trouble and they want to help. You know.
Are you projecting, Candice? Are you projecting onto them?
I mean, you know.
Your view is?
You know, if it were up to me, we'd all be helping people. The other side of it is also, though, I think that you in order to sustain what they have to sustain, I think to a point you do have to
gotta give a little.
You have to give a little, and especially in times like this, especially when people do not have the paychecks and things coming in. I think that you've gotta prepare yourself, and I think it's all working in tandem because again, now you've got a government talking about giving out stimulus packages to what? Pay them bills.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm just saying. So I think
stimulate the economy.
Right, but it's making us have to look at how we our system, how we model ourselves. What do we do moving forward?
Sure.
I think that, and it's going to be hard pressed argument when this all calms down in the next 2 months or so, month or so. When this all calms down, you're going to have a hard time arguing that socialism can't work or certain principles can't work. Vic, come on now, you're going to have a hard time arguing that.
Okay.
And even though they might even say, well, it's not sustainable, I'm pretty sure you have enough people out there, hopefully we have enough people out there that are learning from this and putting together models where it can be sustainable, where we can continue to have a system that is more in line for the people.
Okay. So more balance, a greater sense of balance, right? Because as we said before, this economy is a mixed economy. So you don't have a 100% purely capitalistic economy, nor do you have a 100% socialistic structure as well. So I see what you're saying. I think the scales will be tipped somewhat, but I think that we need ongoing balance with regard to that. The mixture, I think, works better than certain other countries in this regard. I think anyway, right? So I think that it's good to have a mixture of the two, the capitalist structure as well as the socialist structure as well, right? What do you think? What do you think about that?
I'm not going there with you because let me tell you.
I'm just saying. I'm just you know.
And so we have a question on Facebook that's asking, is it really because 45 and his party are trying to get votes? I saw this meme the other day. Walk with me if you will. That kind of made the joke that and somebody kind of alluded to in the meme that Donald Trump is trying to do this to kind of get black people's votes, right? That was a joke. But the meme said Donald Trump doesn't know that black people will take your money and act like they don't even know you.
This is true. This is true.
It was a joke. It was a meme. I saw on social media. And hello everyone that's watching.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
I don't think that I think with some people it may sway him, but I think that even if you've been watching some of the press conferences and things that he's been giving, I think that there was someone that asked the question today, a reporter that asked the question today saying, what would you say to people who may be a bit afraid? And he immediately went into lashed out and said, that's a nasty question. Like, that's not a nasty question. That's not a question that any other president wouldn't have gotten as well. This was your opportunity to give them hope. But I feel like maybe it's not within him to be presidential.
You think?
And so
no, you don't say.
I'm trying not to dish your boy in front of you because you were already coughing and I don't want you coughing on me.
Okay,
so I'm just saying.
I'm just giving back to you what you gave to me.
I'm just saying.
I was doing fine before I ran across you, Ken, because I wasn't coughing or sneezing or nothing. The birds were chirping, the ducks were quacking, the sun was shining.
Nature came back out for you.
Nature
came back out for you.
No, I think the Don is in his feelings. He's in his feelings. Actually.
I mean, this is the thing, though.
He's messed up.
But this is the thing.
This could make or break his election. This right here is his crucial test. Is he going to pass the test or fail the test? I mean, he's behind. He's playing catch up. Because they knew about this thing back in November, December. Come on, man. Come on now. So what does that say about a leader when you just now are waking up? A week ago, right? How many months is that? 4
that's true
months or
because
so?
he's been
Come
known.
on, man.
He said a couple weeks back that this is just a code that's gonna be.
Hello.
He said that on camera.
Hello.
But then last night he tried to say that he's been taking this serious from the beginning
for about a day, right? Okay.
But we have a Facebook comment that says,
Sure.
"I work for a huge corporation and they truly support the community they serve.
Okay.
Yes, they send you a bill, but only for what you used. However, many people feel powerless in the face. Many people feel powerless." Hold on, I'm trying to get this. It's not coming all the way up for me.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Let's see. But my company gives back regularly and even give more than in times like this. There's responsibility corporations have to support the people who they service.
Well, that's good. That's good. We need that. We need more of that. Absolutely. We need that. We need that. And I'm not suggesting that every corporate structure is greedy and so forth. I'm not suggesting that. So I like to hear about these good stories and so forth. That's excellent. That's excellent.
But I will say, though, like, going back to what we were saying about the fact that this is a crisis.
Yeah.
And what it takes in the face of crisis is real leadership.
Hello.
And so
this is true.
What you can't do at a time like this is get in front of cameras and chastise the media or get in front of cameras and make claims to something we saw you not doing a week ago. I think you get in front of cameras and even if you don't know the answer, then just let your health experts talk and let them say, this is what you do, this is how you move forward. I don't think that being obstinate and upset is the best way to handle a crisis. And this is a thing. It's not like it's just a crisis over a few. Like you are Lord Jesus, the leader of the entire country.
He's the king. He's the monarch.
We don't have kings. But
I thought we did.
No. But as said leader, Lord, it sounds crazy saying that out loud. But as the leader, you have a responsibility to, one, tell the truth and be transparent, and then two, give hope. Three, give direction. You know what I'm saying? You come out there and you give these people, this is the situation and this is what we're doing to handle the situation. This is what we need you to do on your end. You know, don't not come out and attack media or give false things or say you've been with us from the beginning. Yeah, now's not the time for that. Now is the time for real leadership.
True. To truly reach across the aisles, right? No doubt about that. Yeah. There was even this one news source that was a conservative, a radical conservative one, that kind of launched in on the liberal reporters there. Okay. You know, in saying that it was the fault of the liberal media for setting this negative tone. Really, it was stated. It was stated. There was news stories talking about that. What do you think about that? What do you think about that when journalists engage themselves in partisanship as well? What do you think about that, Candice, Miss Reporter?
Whatever. What I'm going to say is, it's not supposed to happen, but it does happen. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it doesn't happen. But I do know a lot of journalists personally, and I know that they walk in a great deal of integrity. Okay. I know some journalists who do not. But what I will, but to put the narrative on all the media, no, that's false. Say that. But then, but to not be realistic and act like we don't tend to sensationalize things for ratings because it happens. It does happen. Absolutely. You're still the leader of the free world. Sure. And if you're given a question, you need to, even if you can't be presidential about your answer, be an adult.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Be an adult.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't have the whatever answer, you could at the very least say, he should have at the very least turned to the cameras and said, you know, we are facing some tough times, but we are getting on top of it. Yeah, we started off behind, but this is what we know right now. This is what we're committed to doing, and this is what we need you to do. But we will get through this because we get through things because we are Americans.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, they like to hear that. No, I'm being serious. They, you know, that's what his base needs to hear. But
Team America, right?
But I'm just saying, the reality is that was a moment for true leadership, we're still waiting.
Because he's campaigning. That's what gets me, right? That's what gets me, right? He's at the end of his first term. Right? And we're in the throes of an election year, right? Everything is political. Everything that's occurring here is political. Everything will either add to or take away from his leadership.
Oh, but I'm wondering,
everything.
Vic, do you
hear me.
Go ahead.
Why then, with that being a fact, we all know this. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, right? Why would he do and say the things that he's doing that really speaks against him? Well, why would he do that?
I think it's two parts. You ready?
Okay.
So I think on the one end, I think that, and we're going to go with the very obvious answer, is he's got a base that he panders to, and they're going to vote for him, whatever, no matter what, right?
Okay.
So his base likes this kind of brash, in your face, kind of tough, whatever, and fake news, blah, blah, blah. His
John
base,
Wayne tough.
his base likes all of that, right? Yeah. But then I also want to look at the fact that what's not in you can't come out of you. So if it is not in me to be compassionate, it cannot come out of me. Yeah. If it is not in me to make sense, it's not coming out of me. Do you see what I'm saying?
But there's a degree of theater involved in this too. Even if a person doesn't believe a certain thing, you got to understand, man. You're on a stage, man. You're on a stage, Doc. You're on a stage, and you're trying to get votes. Not only are you trying to maintain your base, but you're trying to broaden your base as well. See, so I don't understand that from a common sense standpoint. I really don't get that.
So then my question would be, if he is on a stage, he's on a stage in a reality TV era. Does that make a difference? Does that make a difference? Does that make a difference?
They want ratings, right? I mean, people involved in the media and television and so forth want ratings. So maybe he's looking at it from that standpoint as well. But man, it's acting too, Candice. There's a bit of showmanship. That's a part of this also. I guess I'm going to
go back to my second thought on this. If it's not in you, it can't come out of you. Yeah, okay, we know a part of this is grandstanding and political theater, but at the end of this, we are in the middle of a crisis.
Absolutely, sure.
That is literally costing people their lives. So at some point, if you are humane, that humanity is going to come out of you. And it's a little nerve-wracking that it does not. I'm just saying.
But see, also though, it's consciousness too, right? He needs to recognize the gravity of the moment, right? For instance, we can say a lot about that, right? When you think about Lyndon Johnson, right, who really made history with all of the civil rights legislation that he funneled through the system and so forth. Some of which we can argue, given his background, without me even going there, given his background, hint, hint, he still did that as a Southerner, right? In the midst of Jim Crow, in the midst of segregation, the segregation of the South and so forth, he became the champion because he understood the gravity of the moment. Think about that, Candice, for a minute. Think about that. Do you get what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
Do you really understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but again,
do you?
I do, but I think you need to understand. Go back to my point of
the gravity of the moment.
But if it's not in you to comprehend it, you won't comprehend it.
Okay, well.
If you
on him, then.
If you surround yourself with a bunch of yes people who are saying, "Yep, absolutely, it's purple."
It's not about
but what I'm saying is, if you don't have anybody around you that can say to you, but if you don't have any
person realizing
but if you don't have anybody around you that can say to you how you're moving right now, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. But he's the straw that stirs the drink, though. Not his advisor. No, it starts and ends with him.
I agree.
Not his advisor. It's him.
I agree, but I think
any leader.
But I think you're giving him too much credit.
I'm saying what should be.
There you go.
I'm saying what should be.
All right.
I'm not naive. Trust me on this one. That's one thing I'm not. I'm very pragmatic and practical. But maybe he doesn't have that, right? Maybe he doesn't have that kind of insight.
Vic, say hi to Facebook.
What's up, Facebook? Peace.
No, we're not leaving. So I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that he showed us who he was when he was running for president. I believed him then. So I'm not very shocked by a lot of behaviors now.
Yeah.
I'm just of the mindset that I don't want anyone to forget that we are in the middle of an election cycle.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want us to have short-term memory because we get $1,000 check.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, you're gonna make $1,000 a couple times over.
Absolutely.
So that's not, and I'm not knocking it, and I'm not saying we don't need to stimulate it. But what I'm saying is he should be doing this anyway. Because you know that this virus is keeping people at home. You know that people can't go to work and we can't be around each other. We're supposed to be social distancing. I'm trying to figure out why you're not 6 feet away from me, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
But I'm just saying. This from the woman who coughed on me before the show started.
Sure that happened. But no, what I'm saying is, a lot of this stuff should be happening. This is how you're supposed to handle it. So I don't want some people to get up the mindset and believe he's doing you any favors. And that you should cast a vote in that direction. Yeah. Right. And I think not only that, but Mitt Romney said it first.
What did he say?
Mitt said it first. Give everybody $1,000 to get this party rolling. Mitt said it first.
Yeah.
And of course, your best friend Mitch.
Moscow bitch. Moscow bitch.
Your best friend wasn't feeling
my best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. We know you donated to his campaign.
Mitch.
Yes.
Man, get out of here, man.
But I'm just
the
wondering.
world would freeze over before that happens.
But you want to know what I can't understand? Because Ted Cruz and a couple of the other senators, they actually voted against like paid sick leave and all of that other stuff. But the minute he's self-quarantined, he's on paid sick leave.
Absolutely.
So you have to help me understand the hypocrisy in our government. Hold on, we do have a comment. It says, we see through the shenanigans. We just want corrections, meaning laws change for the people.
Yeah.
It is a shame that what I just said sounds too common and has been said before.
This is true. Yeah, no doubt about that. Absolutely. I can't add anything else to that. Great point. Excellent point. You know? So now what do we do, Candice? What do we do now? What's going to happen now? What has Joe Biden's response been thus far, right?
So I'm not going to say Joe didn't have a response. I'm just going to say I've not
heard it.
I've not heard it. I'm not saying he didn't.
Bernie Sanders.
I think Bernie's had a couple strong responses. I think they called Bernie saying a couple choice words.
That's choice words.
About some things. But what I will say though, I think that no matter where you are, and it's good to have the World Health Organization's weighing in on this, because a lot of countries again have already experienced this. They've already gone into quarantine lockdown. You have China, where it was kind of the epicenter of this. They're no longer experiencing fatalities. Actually, they're not even experiencing. But China's, they're at the point where they have no new cases.
Okay.
And so I think being on board with the World Health Organizations to figure out, what they're doing, how they, how we should move, that kind of thing is going to help. Making sure that our CDC stays up to date and they're telling us what to do and how to move. Making sure we get more tests on hand. Making sure that we do our part, that we're listening to our governors and just our leaders who are giving us direction. I think the best thing that we can do right now is keep everyone informed. Pump out as much information as you can, because I think what happens is we have so much misinformation and disinformation that is pumped out of there, and so it causes a panic and a stir. But I think as long as we stay connected, and if you have those contacts where you can talk to people in the governor's office and stuff, that information that you give, you make sure that you share that. Here in Genesee County, our interim sheriff, he actually deputized a few of the pastors today to kind of be able to go out and give services as needed. And then I think another thing that I kind of want to clear up is the fact that we were talking about how some of the news articles said that the cases in Michigan skyrocketed. I think we have to be careful with our choice of language. In the beginning of this, you have to understand there were only a certain amount of tests that were given all over, period. And so if you only have a certain amount of tests, that means only a certain amount of people can be tested, which means you're only going to get a certain amount of numbers of this. And as more tests become available and more people are tested, then obviously the true numbers are going to start to surface. So we just have to be careful with how we're wording things. Because when you say skyrocket, it tends to sound like, dang, it came out of nowhere, when that's not the case. A lot of these were people who were probably already infected and we just didn't know. And now that we're able to test, we can prove these things. So we have to be careful with how we choose to word.
Oh, absolutely. Messaging is key. No doubt about that. Absolutely.
But I think the biggest thing that we can do is we can all just be good biosphere projects for a couple weeks. I think
don't hold your breath.
Depends on who I'm in the room with.
Hold your breath.
Vic, you're coughing quite a bit, so I might need to hold my breath. Just in this room with
you're sneezing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Sniffling.
Boy, I tell you. But no, in all seriousness though, I just think the best thing that we can do again is give as much accurate information as possible.
Absolutely.
And if there's any way that you can be of help, then help. I know here in Flint, we've been able to, the schools have been able to still provide breakfast and lunch and we've had some churches that are providing dinner. So that way you have people, because we are in a food desert. I think that people don't understand that in Flint, we were already in the middle of several different crises before this crisis. We were already dealing with our own little economic issues. We already had our own food desert. We already had our own water crisis. And so to have another crisis in which you have to look at being at home, possibly. I mean, right now...
That's a crisis though, being at home.
Let me finish.
It depends on who lives in your house with you,
Let me finish. Hey, some people do not have good home lives.
Some husband or some wife is saying, man, this is a crisis. I don't want to be here with this guy or this woman. I'll just move on from there.
Y'all I do.
I have a twisted sense of humor.
Y'all see what I deal with. But no, I think that, and so one of the things you have to consider about Flint alone is it had its own unique situation.
Yeah, true.
So what do you do when you've had children who have been,
children, so
not only that, but then children who have been exposed to lead, adults who have been exposed to lead, and we're already supposed to be doing things to mitigate that, right? But keep in mind that fresh food only lasts so long.
Yeah.
So you can't get 2 weeks worth of fresh food and it's gonna stay fresh. It doesn't work like that. So you're back to those processed foods and you're back to all of that other stuff. So we've got to think about that. And then you have to think about, while you have all over the country people that can go to their tap and turn on their water and boil their water and cook and clean however they need to.
Yeah, no doubt.
More than likely cook. If we say get water here in Flint, we need double the amount of water you're already thinking about getting. So I think people have to be careful with saying, using the word hoard when it comes to water in Flint. For the simple fact that if we, for whatever the reason, right now the governor is saying we are not doing shelter in place. That's what she said today, that's not happening. But for whatever the reason that happens at any point in time, you've got to think about the fact that not only do we need water just to, drink or whatever, but we're going to need water to cook and do all those things that we've been doing with it. And then now you're going to need double that because we've already needed the water. So I think, and then like I said, we're looking at the food deserts and we're looking at the fact that not everyone is out of work. So you do have parents who absolutely still have to go to work, even though here in the state of Michigan, Governor Whitmer did sign an executive order extending unemployment privileges to certain people who might have already gotten it. And so unemployment is a little bit easier to get right now as far as for people who are going to be laid off and all of that. And there are definitely guidelines to that executive order of how the unemployment agencies should be moving. And then those who were already receiving unemployment, she extended that an extra 6 weeks. I think she's trying to put it in as many measures as possible. But this is one of those times where we have to understand that we got a lot of needs here just in Flint alone.
We do.
And so when you're in the middle of a crisis, the last thing you need is to have a president chastising a reporter for asking about some hope. We need a little hope here in Flint. We would like to be told, hey, XYZ.
Absolutely.
Because the real question is, what's going to happen here? And then keep in mind, we've had health centers that were only open 3 days a week here in Flint, and that we're trying to figure out. And those lines were already wrapped around, and you only were allowed to get a certain amount of water then. So I think that you've got to. What we don't have time for is childish tantrums. We don't have time for that. We don't.
You got to grow up, huh?
We don't. And we listen. Mom told me don't raise no grown man. So that applies to the president too. So listen, all I'm saying is all I'm saying is now's not the time. We are truly in, and when you have cities, and keep in mind, Flint is not the only city with water that is not drinkable. You have plenty of cities in the South where they cannot drink that water. So my thing is, what do you, on top of this, this is a public health crisis. So what do you do for cities that were already in the midst of public health crisis? Right? What do you do for cities that this is obviously turning into quite the economic crisis? So what do you do for cities that already had economic hardships happening? What are we doing? You know, this is a good time. I'm telling you, this is a hard reset. It's a tough reset, but it's a reset. So this is a good time to look at systems and laws and how we're doing things and how we move forward from here. I mean, this is again, it's awful, but it gives us an opportunity. I'm telling you, if nature is resetting because we went in the house, you know, what else? What else? I'm just saying.
What are you drinking in your water?
What else? What am I drinking in my water? I have militant water.
You talk about me, right?
My water is militant.
What were you drinking, man? You on a 10-minute speech there, man.
Because
non-stop, people. Did you see that?
As someone that has worked in government systems for years now at this point, on several different levels, as someone that has had to work through a crisis, man. I'm just saying that.
Candice.
As someone that has worked on multiple levels of government,
I feel you though.
In the time of a crisis, it's just one of those things where you learn to step back and say, okay, what is needed? How do you do this? As someone that has been responsible for handling certain parts of being in a crisis,
I feel you.
Your mind
I'm
works
not mad
a
at
little
you.
differently. Works a little
You're
differently.
energetic today. I feel you though. I'm with you. Oh my goodness.
Paul.
Talking about a helicopter speaker, man.
He can cut his mic, Paul. We don't need his mic anymore. But seriously,
true. Well, this is true. This is true.
But I
Very
think
true.
that, and as we're kind of looking at some of, and I've kind of been keeping up with some of the things that are going on in other states, but I've more so been focused on home right now and what's going on in Michigan and getting information out to other Michiganders about some of the executive orders and things that are going forth. I do know that our governor is in talks with other governors and that they're kind of modeling and doing some things together and kind of seeing what does and doesn't work in the other states. Like I said, today there was an executive order signed that no evictions can go forward. That's some great news for some people.
Fantastic.
There were, like I said, we have an executive order in place about unemployment and there's some guidelines and stuff for that. If you go to Michigan.gov, you can see all the executive orders as well as the guidelines as well that have been laid out. And that also gives you an accurate number as of a certain time period of how many people are infected, what counties. It gives you a breakdown, everything. I share that all on my personal Facebook page, but I make sure that it's public so that even if you're not my Facebook friend, you can still see that information.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of a couple of the other executive orders that was really helpful. I know, and and in time of crisis, whether you like it or not, sometimes people take advantage of other people. So there have had to be some executive orders against price gouging. There are some numbers that you can call about that. I have my phone in my hand, unfortunately, so I'm probably just gonna have to put all that in a link with the video or whatever.
Absolutely.
But there have been certain measures in place here in Michigan that are kind of looked at, that are aimed at protecting the people, and I appreciate a few of those measures.
Absolutely. That's greatly needed.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how long? So when you look at the what are some nuggets that you received from the governor's plan and whatnot? Her press conference today. What are some things?
Today I just
worth repeating.
I more so learned that because we were worried about if we were going to have enough hand sanitizers and masks and stuff for some of our medical professionals. We learned today that a company over in Western Michigan, and I think it's Kraft Copper Company. Don't quote me. I think I might be saying that wrong. But they are producing 10,000 gallons of hand sanitizer for our medical professionals. We also have some people that are donating over millions worth of face masks and stuff.
That's greatly needed.
Yeah.
That's greatly needed.
And I know that Governor Cuomo over in New York, he was talking to China about if they weren't using some of their ventilators anymore, ship them this way.
Ooh, okay.
I know that.
Brand new.
I don't know. And then I think that's just some of the stuff that her lead health professional that she has right now, and I'm so sorry I can't remember the doctor's name right now. Charge it to my head. But she was saying about how we were a bit ahead of the curve and seeing some of this stuff that we were setting up as it was happening other places before we knew some of the numbers in Michigan to kind of be prepared. So we had a little bit of preparedness going.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I know that, and understandably, they were saying that it's a little bit harder to measure the data because, again, some people are able to say that 56% of their states or whatever they'll be expecting them to be infected or whatever. And right now in Michigan, we can't have those accurate numbers because we're still, getting tests in and doing all of that stuff. Other than that, they gave the same kind of information that they always give about staying 6 feet apart, Vic. Staying 6 feet apart.
Wow, Candice.
About washing your hands. About if you're sick, please stay in your home. And if you are feeling kind of ill, and you need to wear a mask if you live with other people and kind of quarantine yourself to one room. And if for whatever reason, because you have respiratory issues or breathing issues and you can't wear a mask, then you need to, then the people that come into contact with you have to go in that room with you need to wear a mask, but to just kind of sanitize some things in your home. If you have someone in there sick, if you're going out and you're coming back in. I think the biggest thing though, so some really cool things, and those are just some things, but some really cool things that have happened as a result of this, because a lot of times, you have like Harvard and Yale and NASA and all these big libraries that you don't have access to. Well, right now they're giving you online access to their libraries.
Oh, really?
So there's,
Oh, wow.
And you know I've been clicking away.
Absolutely.
So,
you
can go on NASA and learn some really new cool things.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to a lot of different college and universities, libraries, and some
Why
stuff.
Why are they doing that, though? Why are they doing that?
I think it's a way to help with social distancing.
Okay.
I think it's a way to help people's minds preoccupied and be able to keep people educated. I think it helps when you're able to keep your mind active and busy on good things.
No
it
doubt
helps you
about
to not
that.
panic.
No doubt about that.
And so I think that they're doing their parts to kind of help in this. And so there are a lot of online resources that were normally closed off to us that are not closed off to us.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people giving online yoga classes, online exercise boot camp classes. So you don't have to sit up there and eat all your snacks.
Yeah, really.
Okay. You can you have all of these different things open to you and for you.
Sounds good.
Right.
Sounds
you
good.
want a tripod for that?
Absolutely.
I don't want one now, Paul. It's like $5.50. I've committed to the risk exercise.
Now, what about your generation, Candice?
I feel like
these folks went to the beach.
That's not our generation.
Bunch of millennials hanging
those
out.
Those are millennials.
Being irresponsible.
I feel like, so this is the thing. I feel like when people don't
know. You millennials, man.
I feel like when people don't know someone's age range, they just automatically call them a millennial. They just automatically call them a millennial.
What are you guys doing, man?
Right.
What's up with that?
I think it makes you feel good.
On spring break and carrying on.
Makes you feel good to be able to blame us for whatever. But the same way you're blaming us, just know that we are going to be the solutions to problems you created.
Maybe you guys will be a part of the Bad Biosphere Project as well. Though.
Nah, we all are. More so you boomers, though.
Yeah, I'm not a boomer.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
But you keep calling everybody millennials when they're not millennials. So you're a boomer. That's how this works. That's how this works.
No, but seriously though. I mean, one of the misconceptions though is that people have been saying that young people cannot be affected.
That's not true.
Actually,
Actually, here in Genesee County, as a matter of fact, we had a 15-year-old.
Really?
And in Michigan, the cases are ranging from 5 years old to 80 years old in Michigan.
5 years of age.
So that's not true.
My goodness, 5 years of age.
Yeah, so that's not true.
Wow. But some of those persons were on the beach, so they were saying that though. I mean, I'm living my life, and I have one life to live. I'm young.
Drake messed them all up talking about YOLO. Drake messed them all up with that YOLO stuff. You only live once. I don't know why you needed a song to tell you only live once, but yeah,
absolutely.
Ever since that whole YOLO thing,
Oh my goodness.
But I also think though, come on, you remember being young and feeling like you were invincible. I'm not saying they're right. I'm definitely not saying they're right. They say youth is wasted on the young.
She said that, folks. I didn't say that. She said that.
I'm young, so I can say
it. There you go.
It's one of those things where I'm a woman, I can say it.
There you go. Absolutely.
So, you can't say it, bitch.
Oh, I can't say it?
Nah.
I'm young at heart. I'm young at heart. What are you grimacing about?
I might need to see the X-ray on that heart. Might be some cholesterol around it or something. I don't know.
What are you grimacing about over there, man? It's a state of mind, man. That's what it comes down to. It's a state of mind.
But Vic, I know you've been kind of watching and paying attention to some more national news and stuff. What are some things you're taking away?
I'm still thinking about the Democratic Party and what the Democratic Party is going to do, and some of the concerns, quite frankly, that some people have is with your favorite politician, Bernie Sanders. No, seriously. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion concerning whether or not he should continue to run or he should end his campaign at this point.
That face was because you calling me a murderer.
Say what? Well, I mean, we know that's a serious conversation because obviously we had how many primaries took place this past week? 3, of which Joe Biden won each one of them. Although Ohio's was suspended, right? Right. So Bernie Sanders didn't win any of those, right? So even though Joe Biden has not reached the magic number yet, right? He does not really have the wherewithal to say, look, this is mine. You should step down. He hasn't arrived yet, even though it appears that he is the presumptive candidate at this point, right? So what do you say, Miss Politics? Should Bernie end his campaign or not? What do you think? What do you say? What say you? Now, seriously, because look, here's my point. Here's my whole point here. If Joe Biden, this is a test run, if he's truly the presumptive candidate, if he's going to become the nominee for the Democratic Party, right, then he's got to be able to handle rough and tumble politics, period. Because trust me, Donald Trump is fighting for his political life. He's going to throw everything at Joe Biden, including the kitchen sink. So if Joe Biden can't take some of the things that Bernie Sanders says and does, you think he's going to be able to take what Donald Trump says and does? Seriously? In rough and tumble politics? If you can't stand the heat.
I mean, boxers.
If you can't stand the heat.
Boxers condition in the gym, and ultimately, primaries again in your own party is the gym. So I guess you better get conditioned.
Man, hello. So you agree with me then? You're trying to be more poetic than me. I mean, really, seriously. I mean, what's wrong with that? If you are going to be the champion, you got to be able to take out the top contender. Hello, somebody.
That's how you become the champion, though.
Absolutely. But there are Democrats who are angry with Bernie Sanders. You know, I've got to critique your beloved Democratic Party.
Why do you?
Look, because some people think that you shouldn't critique. I'm rendering my own critical analysis of the Democratic Party.
I think you've sat on this show with me for 2 years now, enough to know that. Enough to know that I don't believe they're above criticism. We've been doing this 2 years. I think you know.
Hello? Okay.
I think you know.
All right. Tell Mike that. My sparring partner, Mike.
Now, Mike will fight you. Mike will argue with you about it.
What's up, Mike? What's up, man? Can't wait for our next debate.
I started to send him here today.
There you go. See, there you go. No, but seriously though. So, what's your analysis of where we are right now with regard to the Democratic Party and the campaign that's going on now? What do you think?
I mean, I still feel like somewhere in here they better figure out how to get some unity. Because the thing that you have to understand is you still have a segment of the population that when Bernie did not get the nomination against Hillary, they did not go vote. So now you've got to figure out how not to have a repeat of that.
Yes.
You have to figure that out.
We appear to be headed down that road, that same road, in some regard.
I mean, I'm going to vote regardless of what happens. I'm voting.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't matter for me. I'm voting.
Yes. I am too. Absolutely.
You sure?
I'm positive.
I
always do.
So are you voting with your red hat or your blue thumb? How you vote?
I'm independent.
Just like Bernie. Just like Bernie. Just like Bernie.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah, we must vote though. We've got to. This, and we hear this all the time, right? This is one of the most consequential elections we faced. Period.
I just don't want us to be short-sighted. I don't want us to have short memories. I need us to remember everything that's happened in 4 years.
Absolutely.
I need us to be realistic.
Absolutely.
And to focus.
Absolutely.
I don't want us to be thrown off even by this public health crisis. And I think, and I was telling somebody the other day, having already, still being in the midst of a crisis, I think you're a lot... You tend to be a little bit more level-headed about certain things because it's like, well, I was still dealing with this. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but we know it.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want people who are used to white picket fence lives to ignore the seriousness of this.
Absolutely.
Or I don't want people to be diluted down by dollars. Do not let your don't let your vote cost $1,000. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's going to cost you way more in the long run than that $1,000.
That's a cheap date. $1,200. That's a cheap date.
Vic,
I'm just saying, you gotta pay me more than that. Yeah. You gotta pay me, man. You gotta pay me. You gotta pay this brother. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All I heard was that you had a price.
Pay me. Look, I'm gonna take the money, but I'm gonna vote for the person that I truly believe in.
I know, you just reminded me of that meme that black people will take your money and act like they don't know you.
What's wrong? They're offering it. I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna turn it down.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Right.
We the people.
Right.
The power resides and rests with the people.
I agree with
always
that.
Always has. Always will be.
I agree with that.
But do the people believe that and know that?
You know, I wholeheartedly believe that the power is with the people. I don't believe anything differently from that.
Absolutely. Now, when will the people catch a hold of that idea, Candice?
I think, though, I think what's going to happen is, after all of the stuff that has happened as a result of this virus, if they try to go back to business as usual, I think they're going to find that it'll be a little tougher.
Yeah, they woke up. Oh, my goodness, the people have arisen.
Yeah, I think they'll find that it'll be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, no doubt. No 3-car Molly over here, huh?
Right.
What's that joke that you always tell?
Man, I'm not telling the joke. I'm not telling the cookie joke.
And the 2 poor men?
I'm not telling the cookie
Who went up the cookie?
I'm not telling the cookie joke.
Why not? It's so true. It's so true.
Paul, you back there laughing because he's not trying to get you in trouble with the cookie joke. He's trying to get me in trouble with the cookie joke.
Yeah, true. No doubt. That's people in Appalachia.
I think that we more so need to be figuring out how to get the 99. Right. Trying to figure out how to get the 99 and come up with that 4%.
Absolutely.
Those weren't bootstrap come up. Be clear.
That's a narrative.
Right. It sounds good.
It sounds good. Right?
It's called a dream for a reason.
Hello.
Because you dream and you think that's how they got their money.
There you go. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
No, big, I got 3 minutes left. I'm going to behave for these last 2 minutes. You're not going to pull me in.
Hey, Candice. Hey, listen, I was able to jack into the room. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but you're doing a good job. You got 3 minutes.
We've got a lot going on today. We have all the cameras and stuff.
No doubt.
Whose opinion is it anyway? Every Friday at 5 p.m. with Candice
And Victor.
on 92.1 FM WFOB. And every now and then you'll hear someone yelling in the background. We like to call him the Hobbit. He's got a better Hobbit. Yelling at us. He's a short guy. I'm kidding. Where would we be without Paul?
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
Oh, now we have, this minute is going strangely.
There you go.
So, before we log off, one last thought, about what we talked about today.
Well, it's been rich. I never lost the words. Candice said it all. How can I follow her act?
In other words, Candice closed the show out. Basically, just remember to be kind to one another. We're all going through a tough time right now. Make sure that you stay abreast on proper information. Go to your government's website, wherever state you live in. It's that state.gov. Here in Michigan, it's michigan.gov. If you have not had a chance to catch the show from the beginning, go ahead and watch it back. I did give michigan.gov site. I gave some other important information. There's some executive orders that were enforced that are really helpful for the people. Everybody stay safe. Stay away from Vic. No, seriously.
Wow.
Stay safe. We have a lot of churches that have closed their services down, so make sure you check their Facebook